Okay, so mind matters. Of course, it matters. So the final purpose of these videos is to start digging into the nature of our mind and the universe and the connection between the body-mind system and the universe, right? So before I start, I need to say that these ideas are not ideas that came to my mind just by themselves. This is inspired by many thousands of years of Vedic knowledge that has been transmitted first as an oral tradition, then as a written and oral tradition in the Vedas. So my acknowledgement to the rishis that discovered, I like the word discovered, these laws, these properties of nature are hidden and we are able to discover them. So this is what science is about. It's about discovering laws of nature. I always tell my students that the purpose of science is to go from questions to wonder, from a state of how, understanding how things work, to a state of wow, a state of amazement, wonder on how it is possible for us to understand nature. Again, another powerful word, understand, to stand under nature. So the words carry a lot of meaning if we dig into the etymology of words. So mind matters, understanding everything that is a system. It could be a living system from a cell to the body-mind system. It could be any machine. It could be even the computer in where I'm writing. Everything that works uses energy, and that's what we call a system. So a cell could be seen as a system. The ancient rishis in Ayurveda, they have seen everything as systems. The body-mind system, open systems that are exchanging energy with the universe in order to work. So that's what physics and science is all about, understanding the connections with the universe. And to understand, we can use our head, but also we could use our heart, right? We have different tools for understanding nature. So listening to knowledge with the head is what we normally do in school. But when we meditate, we are increasing our ability to understand, our ability to be in the present moment, to increase our level of attention. So these benefits of meditation are well known, right? It reduces aging, keeps you stress-free, increases your attention span, increases your immunity system, increases your metabolic systems, increases the energy that you have to work. So all these are facts that we know through scientific research are benefits of meditation. We improve the way we perceive, the way we understand, and we improve our actions by meditating regularly. But I am also trying to use meditation as a learning tool. Meditation could be a learning tool. It could take us deeper and deeper into a better understanding of the world and everything that happens in the world. So what I'm going to suggest is to use meditation as a tool. Every now and then I will tell you, just pause the video, take a few breaths in and meditate on what I'm saying to see if that settles down in the system and solidifies as knowledge. So that is the challenge, to use meditation and to use conceptual maps. Conceptual maps, matrices, I call them matrices. And this is the first matrix, the matrix 1. So to understand the body-mind system, we need to picture ourselves sitting on earth, right? Surrounded by water, fire, air, and everything else is space. 99.9% of the universe is just space. The Sanskrit word for space is akasha. There's an H missing there. Vashu for air, Techo for fire, Ap for water, and Prithvi for earth. So these are the words that were first mentioned, I would say probably 10,000 years ago, to explain scientifically where we are, who we are, how everything works in nature. So looking at the body-mind system as a system that is, again, interacting with nature, receiving energy in order to work, right? Energy that comes from the sun, from the air, from the water, from the elements around us. We could dig into the ways we are able to perceive that energy around us. So the 5 systems of perception, right? We have our eyes. Our eyes, of course, our eyes allow us to see the 5 elements. They allow us to see the earth, water, fire, the sun, the air. Everything is visible to a certain extent. But what we see basically is light. So maybe the sense of sight comes from or is connected to the fire element, the sun. Because after all, that's what we see. Light coming from the sun, bouncing on objects. So it makes sense. Energy in the form of light enters our body-mind system through the eyes. The sense of taste naturally is connected to the water element, right? We could look at our salivary glands, the food that we eat. It's all watery. Remember that 80% of our body is water, and 80% of anything that we eat has water. I would say everything that we eat is 80% water, some even more. So the sense of taste, the sense of sight. The sense of smell, interesting. We could think smell could be air, but smell has to do with earth element. And this is something that was acknowledged many thousands of years back. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras, and Ashtavakra Gita also mentions the sense of smell is connected to the earth element. Why is that? If you think about it, what we smell are molecules that come from the earth. We smell the perfume of a flower. We smell the rotten organic matter that is decomposing on the earth. The air does not smell. The water does not smell. It's any other matter that is in the earth that by diffusion reaches our nose. So the sense of smell is connected to water, and the sense of touch is naturally connected to the largest organ in the skin, in the body, which is the skin. The sense of touch, right? It is the connection between the body and the air. So the other sense that is left is the sense of hearing, right? And interesting enough, our ears connect with both hemispheres of the brain. So our ears are always open. Our ears are always connecting with our nervous system. Even when we are sleeping, we are aware of what's happening around us. And if it's any unfamiliar sound or noise, we wake up, right? So the sense of hearing is connected to electromagnetic waves. We can discuss this in more detail later. But it makes sense to distribute these senses of perception in these categories, right? Now, what is an action? An action is everything we do with the energy that we perceive. So what are the systems of action? First, let's look at the matrix for the first row, for the first column, right? So we're looking at we call the Pancha Mahabhutas, the 5 elements, and we're looking at the systems of perception. Pancha Janya Indriya. This is the way they call the systems of perception in the Ayurveda, right? So after listening to bringing our attention to what is energy and how we perceive it, it would be good to explore a meditation. A meditation does not bring concentration or focusing the attention on anything at all, but it's good as a tool to use guided meditations. So you can go to my blog and download this first meditation, the 5 systems of perception and the 5 elements of nature, to have a deeper understanding, like understanding with our heart. I mean, the heart is probably there, right? Understanding for good. The idea that we are a body-mind system that is receiving fruit from the earth, oxygen from the air, light and heat from the sun, food from the water, so sound. We are receiving all these forms of energy, and with that we can do different things. One of the things we can do is think. So thinking is an action, and that action is associated again with the brain and the nervous system, right? The nervous system is a system of action that is connecting us to space. So this would be the action of thinking, right? Air, we talk. When we talk, we make the air vibrate. We create longitudinal waves that travel as sound waves. We talk as an action. Talking is an action that demands a lot of energy. That is exactly what I'm doing now. I am using my vocal cords to create vibrations in air to reach your nervous system through your ears. And of course, if this is reaching you in some distant part of the earth, it means that these waves are traveling through space. So the sense of, the action, of talking with the tongue, talk. What is the action connected to the fire element? I'm going to leave that for you to think about. So we use our head to think, our tongue to talk. We use our legs to walk. Our legs are a system that allows us to move. So motion or legs is a system of action, right? So we have our hands, our legs, our tongue, our brains, and we have genitals. Genitals as a systems of action. 2 actions that we do is elimination and reproduction, right? That is an action that is associated to, or those are actions that are associated to the fire element, tejo. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So the second meditation would be, okay, we understand the systems of perception already. Now the systems of actions, we can fill them in. So just think if you can, take some time to think, is there any action that I have not named that could be, or could be different to the ones that I've named? You'll realize that everything we can do could be categorized as one of these 5 possible actions, a combination of them. So that's something that we should take some time to absorb and digest. Don't rush through these ideas, discuss them, resist them. In science we encourage doubt. So do not trust anything I say. Please doubt more. Try to challenge all these ancient ideas that, like I said, are not coming from me. But the method in science is to encourage doubt. And meditation. What is an action, and what can I do with the energy that I perceive? So you can pause the video and do that. There is in my blog again a second meditation on the different actions. So in that way we completed 2 columns in this matrix, right? The pancha karma. Karma means action. In fact, karma means the law of cause and effect. What happens? What is the consequence of every action? Right? Pancha karma. Pancha means 5. So this is the way the ancient Vedas have pictured the world around us, right? 5 systems of perception, 5 systems of action. And then we look at the microsystems and the macro systems, systems that are inside our body, systems that are outside our body, what we call cycles in nature. And then again, we can stop, pause, take some time and meditate. What systems are inside our bodies and where would we put those systems? You can pause the video and discuss, or even better, meditate. But I'm going to continue. We have inside our body, we have the nervous system, right? We have the digestive system, we have the circulatory system, we have all these systems, muscles, skeletons, legs. Where would you place the nervous system? The nervous system certainly will have to do with the space element and the action of thinking and the action of and the perception of hearing. The nervous system is a system that uses electricity to send pulses through space. The neurons connect with each other through space. So the nervous system is definitely connected to the space element. Easy to understand also is that the respiratory system is the system that connects our body with the element air. After all, air is being pushed in and out our body, and the energy that we get from the air is due to this system, right? So we look at this as a system, the respiratory system. Digestive system, fire element. Think about what goes on in the digestive system, how the enzymes are working at the right temperature. You know, the right temperature for enzymes to work and digest food is 37 degrees. So inside the digestive system, that's why we call it the fire of digestion, right? So the element fire inside the body could be identified within that digestive system, right? That is where the food gets transformed into heat. No doubt that the system inside the body that is connected to the water element is the circulatory system, right? 92% of the blood is just water. And the plasma in the body is water, mainly water. And in fact, the whole of the body is around 70% of the mass of our body is water. So we are water bottles, basically. And the water is flowing through our bodies to the cells through the circulatory system. And then the systems that are connected to the earth are the systems that have the ability of moving our bodies and the mechanics of our bodies, the systems that use the laws of mechanics like the skeleton, the muscles. These are muscular systems. These are systems inside our body. So it's interesting to see that we could also very easily classify the systems into 5 different categories. And I'm not saying that these are the only systems in our bodies, but you can put them in these categories, all the different systems that make our body. What happens outside our bodies? Nature has cycles. The biggest cycle of all is the cycle of the universe. You know, we know through the Big Bang theory that the universe had a beginning and it will have an end. So in a way, and it could be probably a universe that recycles itself. We don't know what the fate of the universe is, but we could consider the biggest of all the systems where everything is happening as the universe, right? Outside of the body, the air cycles, the nitrogen in the air, that's called the nitrogen cycles. So we'll study the nitrogen cycle when we looked at air moving in nature. These atoms go from the air to the earth to the water, back to the air. They cycle in nature, right? If we're looking at fire, we have to study photosynthesis here. Photosynthesis is also a cycle in nature. It's the cycle of light coming from the sun being transformed into matter, right? Matter, and then matter decomposes, right? And it goes back to nature. But 80% of the mass of a tree comes from the air. And the energy that makes this possible is the energy that comes from the sun, right? So that's what we call photosynthesis, the transformation of light into matter, sugars, glucose, right? This is what the plants do for us. So in a way, a tree, what it's doing is connecting the sun, the air, and the earth. That's why it is so essential to have trees, not only because they bring out the oxygen from the leaves, but also because they bring up the fruits that we eat, right? That's quite obvious. The cycle in nature connected to the element water, in science we call it the water cycle, and we are just one, the water cycle, we are just one link in that cycle of evaporation, condensation, rain falling. We drink the water, it's in our bodies. In a week it will go out of our bodies. Not a single molecule of water that is now today in our bodies will remain there in a week. We are exchanging water with nature constantly, and that water gets recycled back into nature. And the system in nature that has to do with the earth element is, though the cycle in nature, is the carbon cycle. We will study that also in detail. So what I'm putting here are the topics of a science program, right? Science program. What is science about? Science is about understanding the universe, the cycles in nature. This is biology. A lot of biology is here, right? The nervous system, how we think, how we talk, reproduction. So this is what I would say is the main concern of science, understanding how all this works. Finally, when we go more specifically into physics, we could very easily identify 5 fields in physics connected to the elements of nature. Everything that has to do with space, that means charges moving in space, nuclear energy, astrophysics, quantum physics, all this happens in space. These are fields of physics that we study. Gases, what connects to the air. The study of heat connect to the element fire. Hydraulics connect to the element water. Mechanics connect to the earth element. Bodies moving. So these are links to different explanations on different systems and videos. So it would be interesting to transform this matrix into an empty page with no words in it. Meditate, and from there try to fill in the blanks of this, I would call it puzzle, and this puzzle is nature. If nature makes sense, if we can find ways of explaining all these things that are written here, then we could say that we're learning science. So this is the journey, and the journey starts today with this video.